Hello, welcome to another video. Today we're going to have a look at Material UI and how we can use it to very quickly create a nicely styled form. So I'll show you what we're going to be building. We're going to build this form here with a sign up button. When we click sign up, it opens up a modal and we can enter our details. There's some simple validation, like if I was to if I was to put test, try and sign up, we get some error messages and so on. Okay, so let's get right into it. So first thing first, we want to, let me just zoom in on that terminal a bit. Hopefully you can see that okay. We want to create a React app, and I'm just going to call it Material UI Form Video, and I'm also going to pass in -- template TypeScript. I'm going to build it in TypeScript. Okay, so while that builds, let's just go over Material UI quickly. So Material UI is a bunch of Material UI is a library with styled components, so it's very quick to build things in React. So if we look at the docs, we have all of these components, so stuff like buttons, and if you're trying to build new stuff, you can also use these docs. They're really good. You can just copy and paste the examples and edit them as you like, but there's all sorts of things in here. So the thing we're going to be using today is a modal, which is basically just a pop-up. So pop-up in front of the in front of whatever's on the page, and then when you click away from it, it closes. Okay, so that's the main thing we're going to use, and then we're going to use some inputs and stuff as well. So that's still building. I'll just pause while that finishes. Okay, that's finished building, so just go into that folder and then install a few dependencies. So we need to install at MUI Material UI / material at emotion / react and at emotion / styled. So we need these for the Material UI components and for styling them. So we'll install those. I'll pause again as it installs. There we go, and now let's open this up in Visual Studio Code. Oops, that's maybe a bit big. Hopefully you can see that okay. I'll put the source code up as well if there's anything you want to copy and paste rather than follow along, but yeah, follow along if you like. And if you are following along, please subscribe to the channel, it really helps out. So first thing we're going to do is get rid of some of this boilerplate that we don't need. So we want to get rid of app.css, app.test, they can go. And then everything other than app.tsx, index.css, and index.tsx. So we can get rid of that, and then just say hello in here. We can't import that anymore, we don't need that anymore. And in the index.css, I'm just going to put some very basic styles on .app, basically just to put it in the middle of the screen. So 100 viewport heights, display flex, align items, center, and then justify content center. So all that's going to do is it's going to put it in the middle of the screen. And then in index.tsx, we need to get rid of that import, get rid of that, and we'll get rid of React strict mode. Oops. Okay, and now let's do npm run start to open it up. While that's opening up, let's go ahead and get started. So in our app.tsx, we want a button that says sign up, basically. And this button is one of the components from React UI. So, sorry, not React, Material UI. So if we hover over that, it's not auto importing for some reason, but let's just import it manually. So import button from, there we go, MUI/material. And I think it's just taking a wee second to load. Oops, I need to run this on a different port. Okay, there's a few things we can pass to this, and you can see all of this in the Material UI docs. Where did I put them? So if we go to button, we can see we've got a few different varieties. So we've got contained, and we give it the variant contained. We've got variant text and then variant outline. So I'm going to go for variant contained, but you can use whichever one you want. So in here we just pass a prop of variant contained, and similar to that, there's a color prop we can pass, which you can see from the docs. On click primary, color primary, and then on click we want to pass a function handle open. Okay, we'll define that function in a second. That's basically just going to open up our modal. So if we have a look now at localhost, we should be able to see that button sign up. You see it's in the center of the page because of our index.css, and it's nicely styled. And if you've used much CSS before, you know that to get a button looking just like normal, it takes a lot of CSS, but Material UI, we can very quickly get styled components. Okay, next thing is our modal dialog, and we will define that in a second. So that's just going to be a component that we make, and within there we'll have the Material UI component. So let's just define an outline just now. We'll export that. And then import that here. Okay. So the next thing, that's okay. We'll just to get rid of that error just now, we need to return. What do we need to return? Just the most basic thing we can. There, opening and closing tag. Okay, so let's deal with this handle open function. So to tell us if the modal's open or not, we're going to have state called open. Then we'll have a set open function for that, and that is just going to be a boolean. So we'll start off with it being false. We don't want the modal to be open at the start. We need to import that from React. Okay, and we'll then in handle open, all we're going to do is set open to true, and we're also going to have another function. Handle close, which is going to do the opposite, and we will pass that to the modal dialog. So that's going to set open to false. And modal dialog will take two things. It'll take open, it needs to know whether it's open or not, and then it will also take handle close. Okay, so if we go now to our Modal dialog, and we want to accept those two props which we just passed in. So props open, which, because I'm doing this in TypeScript, I need to type, it's going to be a boolean, and then handle close, which is just a function that returns void, doesn't have a return. And that should get rid of our errors for just now. Right, in the return here, we want to return dialog, which is a material UI, another material UI component, and that is going to take open props.open and on close is props.handle close. Didn't close off my curly brackets there. Okay, and then within this we're going to have a form, which again will be a separate component. So I'm splitting this up into different files so it's nice and clean. You never want to have too much in your React files. They should be split up into lots of little ones. Okay, so we need a form.tsx now. You can see this is getting quite repetitive, but we're going to set up the function and then just return that as default, or sorry, export it as default. And what was the prop there? So handle close is what form needs to take in. So should take in props of handle close, and that is a function, again just returning void or returning nothing. Okay, in here I'll do the rough outline first and then we'll talk about it a bit more, but we're going to have a form component, which is just a standard HTML component, and then we're going to have a styled, first of all we're going to have a text field. We'll look at styling that later on from Material UI, and we're going to need 4 of those. And then underneath that we're going to have a div, and inside that div is going to be a couple of buttons, which again is just the Material UI component for a button. Copy that down a couple of times. Right, so let's import these first. Okay, why are we getting an error over here? Oh, we need to import form, and then let's have a look at what this looks like. So if we go back to localhost, refresh. So now when we click sign up, we get this form with 2 buttons which we can't see because there's no text in the button, so they've got 0 size. Okay, so that's our rough outline. We want to add some styling so it looks nice, but we don't need to add too much, to be honest. Most of it's dealt with by Material UI. So for the text fields, we're going to pass in a couple of props which UI accepts. So the first one's label, which is just like your label on a HTML input. So the first one's going to be first name, and then the variant is filled. Again, you can look at what that means in the docs, and if you want something else, and I'm going to pass in required. Okay, and I'm just going to copy this for all 4. The only thing that's going to change is the label. So this will be last name, and then email, and then password. Okay, and email, we can give it a type of email, which is just going to give us some front end validation, and then password, a type of password. So it should start out when we are typing the password in. Okay, next thing, let's well, on our button, sorry, first of all, let's just say cancel and sign up. Oops, not sign up, sign up. And the buttons, we're going to pass a variant of filled. Anything else we need? Why is it not liking that? Sorry, not filled, contained. Oops, that's fill. So this is a sort of extra validation we get TypeScript. That's why I decided to go with TypeScript. Color, we're just going to say primary. And I think both of the buttons, no, sorry, the first one we won't have color primary, but we'll have that in the second one, just to make them look a little bit different. So let's get rid of that from the cancel button. And this one is also going to have a type submit, so it will submit our form. On the form then we want to have a on submit, which is just going to be handle submit, and we'll define that up here. At the moment we're not going to do anything. Right, so looking back, you can see it's got a little bit better. We've got the labels and the buttons, but we haven't yet got it looking, but it's sort of got some styling, but we want these inputs to be above each other with a bit of space in, and the buttons to have some space as well. So to do that, I'm going to add some styles to form. So we can just do this inline because we're not adding too much. So we want to say style display flex, flex direction column, so that'll get them above each other or going down. Justify content center, and the line item center to center them nice. And then we'll just give them some padding as well of 2 rem. Okay, so if we look back at the form now, we've got these nicely laid out. Okay, next thing is adding some styles to the text field. So there's 2 ways we can do this with Material UI components. We can either pass in SX, which and then is similar to styles, and then we can pass in our style. But I don't want to do it to all 4 components here. I want to set up a component which is text field with the styles added, and then just use that component. So that's where we get to like custom styled React Material UI components. So I'm going to create this component called styled text field, and it uses this function styled from Material UI. That takes a Material UI component or a HTML component, and then it takes a second parameter of theme, and then we can output the styles we want to add onto the component. So I want to add margin 1 rem and width 300 pixels to get the inputs a little bit wider. Okay, and something is wrong with my brackets. So what's going on here? I can't see. Do I need an extra brace down there? Oh, sorry, I need a bracket up here as well. There we go. Okay, and then rather than having text field here, I'll use Command D to select them all, and then we're just going to have style text field. Okay, and looking back here, we can now see that I has styled all 4 of them nice and quickly. So it's like, I guess it's like in your CSS, we could have also put a class on this and then added those styles to the class, but it's attaching them to the component directly. Okay, and then the button, we could do the same thing, but because there's only 2, I'm just going to, and I only want to add 1 style onto this, I'm just going to do it on the component with SX, and I just want to add 2 rem onto there. Just put it at the end. Okay, and looking back at our form is how we want it to look now. So very quickly we got a nicely styled form. Right, next thing to do is, so this is exactly how we want it to look, but it's not very functional. So we want to have some states, first name, last name, email, password, and then set those when we enter things in. And then we could pass them to some back end, but we're just going to log them to the console for just now. So we want first name and set first name is equal to use state with an empty string. We'll copy that down. Oops. We'll copy that down a few times for last name. I'm just going to put a capital there. For password, for email next, and then for password. And I'll just put capitals in here. So I'm using Control D to quickly select the next occurrence. Use state. Let's see if we can auto import that from React. Okay, in these states, when we handle submit, that's going to take an event which is react.synthetic event in TypeScript, and we're going to e.prevent default so it doesn't refresh the page, which is the default behavior when you submit a form. And then we're going to just log those 4 things. So const.log first name, last name, email, and password. And then we will close the form as well once we, so that's our function which we pass down to form. Right, next thing, the styled text fields, and I'm going to do this all at once, or try to. So we want to add a value of, well, we want to add the individual values. I'll just say first name at the moment, and then we also want to say on change, and we're just going to define this function in line just now, which takes an event, and this time it's a react.change event, and that takes in HTML input element, and then from that we are going to set the first name to e.target.value, and then we just need to close that off with a curly bracket, and hopefully there we go. Format that. The only other thing we do need to do now is change first name to last name, and then first name to email here, and then first name to password in the last one. Okay, and I think that should be everything. So let's go back to our React or let's go back to the web browser and have a look. So we've got this. I'm just going to put test. For some reason, when I type at the moment, it's deselecting the element, so I maybe want to have a little look into why it's doing that. But, and then we hit sign up. Oh, we get some validation saying please include an @ so I'm just going to say @g and sign up. If we inspect and look in the console, we can see those 4 things are logged. Okay, so I hope you managed to follow along. Let me know if you've got any questions, or let me know how you got on. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, it really helps out. Hope to see you in the next one. Thanks, bye.